What's up, everyone? I'm Ryan from Fireside Yankees. In today's video, we're going to be talking about where the Yankees need to improve at the deadline, whether it's internally, externally. Brian Cashman has himself definitely some work to do, not because the Yankees have struggled or because he hasn't put together a good enough roster. He very clearly has, but because since this team is so good, you really want to make sure you go all in and address the needs, since these needs feel like needs the Yankees can fill in. This isn't like last year where the Yankees needed multiple bats in order for them to even be close to contention. And quite frankly, this year they are probably the best team in baseball. And they definitely can get better in certain areas. And so today we're going to be talking about those areas that they can improve in. So first off, and in my opinion, the one that takes all precedence is shortstop. Before people get mad and say outfield, Gallo, outfield. That is definitely an area to address, and I'm absolutely going to get into that at some point in this video. That's right after the shortstop segment. Don't worry. But Isaiah Kiner-Falefa just is not cutting it. He is not a shortstop who is ready for the Yankees to, he's not that guy, right? I hate to, kind of simplify things to that nature, but with a 77 WRC plus, his outs above average is -4, right? He does have 3 defensive runs saved, so, more of an average defensive shortstop, but the offense is atrocious, right? A 77 WRC plus is not cutting it. That is not acceptable for a starting player who's not an elite defensive player in an everyday lineup on a championship team. That is unacceptable. Yankees cannot have that in their lineup. For context, Joey Gallo also has a 77 WRC plus. The difference is you could play Aaron Hicks over him, or you can shuffle things around where you have Stanton and Judge in the outfield. You could potentially do something there where you have Hicks batting ninth and he plays good defense. You just kind of forget about him there. But again, that's not really an ideal situation either. But at shortstop, the Yankee solution could potentially be internally. We've discussed this before about Oswald Peraza potentially being the guy the Yankees call up to fill in the hole at shortstop, but the Yankees can fix their shortstop holes with one call up. You have to make a trade to improve your outfield, or you can call it Florial, I guess. And that could work. But I think the difference really is that there are more outfielders available at the deadline on the market, whereas for shortstop, it's really upgrade internally or get a guy like Joey Wendell who, you have to hope they're available, and we don't really know if they are. So those are question marks right there. There are guys we know are available, and there are guys we don't know are available. That's kind of a factor into what I evaluated when looking at guys the Yankees should get at the deadline, guys they think are realistic, and ways the Yankees can improve. So, number one, shortstop, because the Yankees can do so pretty easily. They could do so right now if they wanted to, and it doesn't cost anything for them to do it. So, number one, shortstop. That's one of the biggest things they can improve in this month, or before the deadline, so that they can get a lot better as a team. Peraza is a pretty solid player all around. Defensively, he's great. He's projected to put up a 96 WRC plus to major league level this year. That is so much better than Isaiah Kiner-Falefa's. That's still 4% worse than the major league average hitter, but with his defensive prowess, I don't think any Yankee fan is going to be complaining about a 95 to 100 WRC plus hitter, a guy who's right around league average. We know he's a great base runner. We know this is a guy who could be a solid major league player, and that's better than what Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is bringing you, which isn't solid major league play. It's very much streaky defense, not at all good offense, right? Peraza just fits the bill. And now let's talk about the outfield. Yankees need a left fielder. Gallo has been atrocious, absolutely terrible. He has a -0.2 F4. And while Aaron Hicks has definitely been better than Gallo, that's not really saying much, because being better than Joey Gallo really doesn't take much to do. And Aaron Hicks has still struggled. An 89 WRC plus. He's gotten better defensively in left field, and he's a solid base runner, but that's not enough to justify, starting him in October in a, do or die game against the best of the best. You really don't want Aaron Hicks starting in that game. Granted, the options out there are guys like Andrew Benintendi, Tommy Pham, Ian Happ, potentially a Brian Reynolds deal. There are definitely tiers and layers to who these kind of guys are. The rentals, the pretty good but not elite players, and then the guy like a Brian Reynolds who's obviously an elite player. I'm not going to throw out Juan Soto, because Juan Soto's not getting traded, and it's not going to happen to the New York Yankees. There's absolutely not a chance happening. There's no team that really can provide the value that you're looking for if you're going to trade for Juan Soto. So I'm not even going to think about Juan Soto here. But Brian Reynolds is probably the highest echelon guy that has a 1% chance of getting moved, but that's still a 1%er. So I still don't consider that a realistic option for the Yankees to look at. I think Ian Happ is the best fit for the Yankees. You look at his switch hitting abilities. He is a 130 WRC plus hitter this year. He has played solid defense in left field. That is a guy the Yankees could definitely go out and get. great fit for the Yankees, especially in the middle of the lineup, has good power, great on base skills, has found some new contact skills that has helped him, maintain a higher WRC plus, which is great to see. He's a good, not elite player, but the Yankees don't necessarily need an Aaron Judge caliber player. They just need a pretty good one, and Happ is definitely that. As for guys like Tommy Pham, David Peralta, Andrew Benintendi, Jesse Winker potentially, those are guys who kind of all are in the same tier of offensive prowess, except for Winker. I think Winker has a much higher upside. But the difference is he has really struggled in his power this year, so that's a little bit concerning. Would like to see him play a little bit more and see the power come back a little bit more before I decide I would like to go out and invest in him on the trade market. He's also a terrible defender, so really the offense is only calling hard. As for Benintendi, Pham, and Peralta, they all provide solid defensive value in left field. They're all either average or way above, Peralta being the best defender of the crop. And the best offensive player in that group this year in terms of WRC plus and OPS plus has been Andrew Benintendi, who has phenomenal on-base skills this year. But you really wonder, is he that big of an upgrade for the Yankees in comparison to other guys because of the lack of power? I do think he's a good leadoff option, but, again, you're not going to hit him leadoff. LeMahieu's going to hit leadoff, so a little bit concerned as to how that fit would look. Definitely not saying Benintendi's a bad fit or that Benintendi doesn't help the Yankees. Just saying that he's not the savior, if you get what I'm saying. This isn't like, a guy who comes in and changes your team a lot. This is a guy who just makes a marginal improvement to what has been a really bad position group for you in left field. For David Peralta, the problem with him is that he can't hit left-handed pitching, so you can't even start him against lefties. That's obviously an issue. And then for Tommy Pham, it's really just the offensive inconsistency, the fact that, he's very much an offensive underperformer. This is a guy who will always have better batted ball numbers than his WRC plus reflects, and the off-the-field issues, that entire fantasy football story. Not necessarily sure you want to bring that into your locker room. And then, you look at Jesse Winker again. We talked about him where it's, the lack of power is a little bit concerning, especially since this is a guy whose all his value is in his bat. His base running and his defensive value is not good. It's negative. So, those are your left field options. There are plenty. So there really is an excuse for you not to walk away with at least one of them. And then, of course, if you want to look internally, you could say Florial, but I just think there's too much out there for you to not go out and get a left fielder externally because it's available, right? Even if you walk away with Benintendi, you walk away a better baseball team. So you're just looking to improve in that position. And so, yeah, those options are out there. And then lastly, pitching. Now, the Yankees have been great pitching-wise, and I don't really care how the Yankees upgrade pitching-wise. I just want them to figure out an upgrade pitching-wise so that they can deepen their staff, right? Either they go out and get a starter and bump one of these guys into the bullpen, or they get a really good bullpen arm. That doesn't really, I don't really care how it happens. Preferably to me, I think Luis Castillo to the Yankees would be a dream come true. This is a guy who is a bona fide ace joining its staff with a bona fide ace and a bunch of really good starters in the middle of that rotation. That would be dream come true. And that also helps your bullpen. So realistically, I would say Luis Castillo is like my number one guy. If you can't get Luis Castillo, then you just focus on the bullpen and you just try to roll with what you got at the rotation. Frankie Montas is also another option, but I imagine he's going to be a little heftier. He was also pulled from a game, and heftier in terms of price, of course. He was just pulled from a game, which is a little bit concerning. Apparently it's something massive, but, I'm going to hold my breath there and just say Castillo for now. Has to be a guy who's an ace caliber pitcher. Cannot be a number 3 or 4 type of guy because the Yankees probably have 5 starters better than that, right? So Luis Castillo, that's an ace. You go out and get an ace if you can go get it, and I think that'd be well worth the price tag. The Yankees would have a phenomenal game 1, 2, and 3 situation where you have Cole, Castillo, Severino. That's just unbeatable, right? Like that's, you might just sweep your ALDS matchup and then you go to the ALCS and you can put yourself in a situation to be up 2-1 pretty easily. That's a phenomenal advantage to have. If you want to look at unorthodox options, Blake Snell, if the Padres are kind of looking to move off of him, right? That could be a guy you put into your bullpen, or maybe you kind of give him some spot starts, see if he can figure it out. And he also is here for another year, so he can just take Tyone's spot in the rotation. That could work as well. But again, I'm not too interested in that move just because I just think the Yankees need an ace if they want to go out and get a starting pitcher. They don't necessarily need the depth guy. If you want to go out for relievers, Daniel Bard, David Robertson, I'm very much interested in both those guys. Those guys are veteran closers who can come and close a game and also pitch the 8th and 7th inning of a baseball game. They have remarkable stuff, and those are just guys that 1-year rental. You don't have to worry about them after this year. You can replenish their role in the bullpen after. Pretty cheap move to make right there, and I think it would make the Yankee bullpen that much better. But with that being said, let me know what you guys think are the holes the Yankees should kind of fill in at this deadline. For me, at shortstop, It's outfield, specifically left field, and going out and strengthening your pitching staff either by getting an ace or going out and just getting that bulldog bullpen arm that you can throw in and make your bullpen unbeatable. But with that being said, again, let me know what you guys think. You guys know to check us out on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at the same handle, Fireside Yankees. You guys know to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for your growing support. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, and that is because of all of you guys and your unwavering support. You guys have done wonders for all of us here at Fireside Yankees. And of course, check out Empire Sports Media for a bunch of New York sports content, articles on all your favorite New York sports teams. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Ryan out.